Hi there, Karen Bardash, proud graduate of CUNY Queens College. I started Queens College in the fall of 1979, and I graduated 3 years later with my Bachelor of Arts, whoopsie, in 1982. I was also in the Spanish Honor Society, and I eventually came back to Queens College, where I got my Master's of Science in Education and Spanish in 1989. When it came time to apply for colleges and everybody was applying to 1,000,001 schools, I really didn't have any of that in mind because that was not the kind of student I was. I really didn't want to go to a sleepaway college. I really liked New York. I liked the atmosphere of the theater and the arts, and I really wanted to stay put. And I also wasn't about to spend or have my parents spend a lot of money on my education. And being that my parents and my grandparents were all products of the CUNY system, I figured I would go to a CUNY college as well. When I was applying for college, my intention was to be an art student or an art major, and I knew that at that time, CUNY Queens College had a very fine arts program. So originally I applied with the thought that I would be an art student. I ended up taking a gap year, during which time I went to Spain, and I fell in love with Spain, and I got in my young, impressionable 18-year-old head that I was going to eventually move back to Spain. So what should I do? I should change my major to Spanish. So after my gap year, I started Queens College with the major in Spanish. I placed out of the basic classes and I started studying literature and golden age poetry and stuff that really didn't interest me very much, but the objective was to graduate with a degree in Spanish. I did a study abroad program my first summer of college, and I went back to Malaga, Spain, and that's where I met my now husband. And I was like, oh, we're going to move back. I'm going to move back to Spain when I graduate college. So I had the Spanish major. I had this boyfriend in Spain. I had this Spanish experience. I was doing all this Spanish coursework. It meant sitting on the floor of the stacks at the library and just like doing these translations and writing these papers. But anyway, I managed to graduate Queens in 3 years to be able to go back to Spain. And I did go back to Spain, and with no understanding of what I was going to do there other than live this bohemian dream now that I spoke Spanish. And then fast forward, yes, my boyfriend was still there. Yes, I lived there for 2 years. We came back to the United States. We got married. And now what was I going to do with a Spanish degree? So a teacher of mine from junior high school told me I would be great. I'm great with kids. I should be a teacher. So I decided I'd become a Spanish teacher. I applied for grad school at Queens College. I went back to Queens College to get a master's in Spanish education, and I started teaching. Actually, I started teaching in the New York City public school system before I even had my degree or before I was even licensed. I worked in the city system for 2 years. Then I came out to Long Island. I ended up getting a job in Great Neck, New York, and I just retired this past spring from 31 years in the Great Neck public school systems and from 34 years of teaching. So that's the whole trajectory of how I became a Spanish student at Queens College. I would always sing the high praises of a public education. I do think CUNY is a remarkable opportunity for so many people. It is very, very good education. It's good bang for the buck. But I had a phenomenal experience there, meeting a lot of different people of various backgrounds, people that I wouldn't have met, or I didn't know when I lived growing up in Great Neck. I became involved in clubs. I was also working as a model in the art department. I don't remember taking the art classes. I remember modeling for the art classes. Walked around the college in a bathrobe. No, you're not gonna say that. Things that some people would find horrible and annoying. There was no parking lot at the time for students, so I always made sure I had 8 o'clock a.m. classes, and I left my house at 6 a.m. to get a parking spot. My friends and I had Bagel Wednesdays. I would pick up bagels at the local Great Neck Bagel Shop, and I would bring them to the cafeteria, and I just had a really, really good time. I had some really phenomenal teachers, and I just have this romantic vision of what the campus was, and I guess I imparted that in my kids and somehow brainwashed them into following my footsteps as well. So I guess that's my CUNY experience. I got a great education. I had a great career. Queens College was great, and I still have my flower that I had in my graduation picture. I couldn't throw that out. I'm going on nearly 40 years that I had that in my mouth in my dopey picture. So there you have it. CUNY, Queens College, right there. That's it. Adios.